So after that first Mass, you immediately report to your assigned parish? Is that what happens?
That's right.
And which parish was that?
It's called Holy Name Parish. So you have like a few weeks off. So you can travel and spend time with your family doing Thanksgiving Mass. And so I was in my short, it was the summer, I drove to the parish to check it out. Wow, what does that parish look like, right? Well, by that time, I didn't know. The parish already know there's a priest by the name of Father Dat Huang coming to the parish. So I walked into, I remember it was after lunch. I went in there. It was like about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I went into the church just to check it out.
Thinking that nobody would know who you were.
Well, nobody knows. I was in my short. I'm a little high school guy, right?
Yeah, you look like you're in high school, but you're 27 years old.
That's right. I used to look very young. And this one lady stopped me, this couple, right? She stopped and said, hello. I said, hi. She said, what's your name? My name is Dad. She said, are you the new priest who's coming here soon? I was like, oh no, I'm in my short. So, but I can't lie. I'm fresh. So I said, in fact, I am. I just come, I'm still on, have not started. I just come here to look at the church. She said, oh, hi, Father, welcome. And she said, second question, do you speak Spanish?
Mm-hmm.
And I said, sí, un poco, a little bit.
Uh-huh.
And I'll never forget. She said, thank you, Father, for speaking our language.
Wow.
It's like, okay, sure. And I went away, and a few weeks later, I showed up that Paris that weekend. Golly, I was so young. So I said there, and first confession in my life, I said in that new parish. That Saturday afternoon, I was in there. This big guy walked in, face to face, and he started out, in el nombre del Padre, del Hijo, del Espíritu Santo, Amen. And he started confessing in Spanish. I thought I've learned Spanish well. I have not a single idea what he was saying. He was so fast.
He just poured his heart out.
Maybe just talk. I was like, okay. And then at the end, I look up the paper, the absolution word, and and then he walked away. I could tell he was so happy because he knew I didn't know a thing, And
so you thought you could understand what he was going to say.
I know.
But
I took a lot of Spanish, but when you're in the situation, it's like, I remember looking at the cross in the confession and said, Lord, are you sure you want me to be here? I don't think I can do this. It was so scary. And
but you had taken Spanish classes.
I took some Spanish classes, but at the time it was nothing. I mean, over the years I get to practice. So, and I remember that was the first memory of my first confession. And then I do the Mass, and the pastor introduced me to the community. The pastor was very young. He became pastor for the first time. He's younger than, he was like he's like 30 something, and I was like 27.
Oh, okay. So both of you were young.
He introduced ourselves to the community. He went to the parish. So he introduced us and he said, by the way, everybody keep asking, how old is Father Dad? Because he looks so young. Just to be clear, he's 16 and I'm 18. And I remember there was a tough lady in the back. Bless her heart. She said, I'm not going to confession with those kids.
She actually thought you were 16 and 18 probably, huh?
Yeah, I was so young. I really looked really young those days. And
well, it's the Asian blood. That's what it is.
It's the Asian blood, yeah. But, that was my first love, as a priest. And I just fell in love with the parish. I loved that parish. I had a great time.
How long were you there?
I was there 2 years. 2 years with Father Oscar Cantu. He's now the Bishop of San Jose. He was my pastor, yeah. Got together really well. I learned so much from him. Had a great time together. And then they moved to me.
Where?
Then they moved me to St. Mary Magdalene with Msgr Paul Procella. God rest his soul. He passed away.
When did he pass away?
When we were still in the school. I remember when I came out here, he retired. He was such a good priest. He loved his people so much. His wife, he was married. And his wife had a hard time, and she this everybody know his story. She committed suicide.
Wow.
He came home one day and she have died. And a few years later, he was always involved in the church. They asked him if he ever thought about being a seminary. So he did. His son became a priest.
Wow.
And because of his suffering, he was an incredibly loving priest.
Wow. To recover from your spouse committing suicide.
Yeah. He didn't have any kid. I remember, like, I went to the hospital with him. Sometimes very difficult situation, but he has such a way of being that the minute he walked into the hospital, people felt the love in God's presence.
Wow.
Because of his own suffering. And he was so good to me. He was like a grandpa. When the cardinal, after I was there for 2 years, and when the cardinal reassigned me to be vocation director, his heart was broken. And we kept on the relationship. When he retired, I would go to the priest retirement home and take him out to eat. And he called me every single week when I was sent out here.
Really?
He would tell
awesome.
me, I'm praying for you. You can do it. We can do it. You can do it, Dad. Very encouraging. And I miss him. I preached at his funeral mass.
Wow. What year was that?
That's probably about 4 years ago. I can't remember the exact year.
Okay.
But
so you said that you were asked to become vocation director.
Yeah.
What was that like after spending those great years in the parishes?
Yeah, so 4 years in the parish, and the cardinal called one day and he asked if I would be his vocation director. I think he knew me because at the time I was serving as his MC. When the cardinal first came here, he needed someone to be his master of ceremony for all the masses.
Okay.
So at the time, because I did that in the seminary, he asked me to do it. So for 2 years, I was doing that with him. While I was being parochial vicar, whenever he has confirmation or big diocesan mass, I would be there serving him. In fact, when the new co-cathedral was dedicated, I was the MC for that mass.
Nice.
It's very honored, yeah. So I think after that, I think because he knew me, he asked me if I would serve as vocation director. And so I did. Very honored, very grateful to Cardinal Dinardo for allowing me to do those things because I've learned a lot. I learned to, while I was vocation director, I get to work with seminarians. I work with young people, inviting them to discern, to fall in love with the Lord. And so I come to have a deeper appreciation for the call, also the deeper appreciation for the priesthood and religious life. And I loved it. I did that for 7 years. Yeah.
Was it hard letting go of parish life after spending 4 years?
Well, at the time, I wasn't a pastor yet. I was parochial vicar. Parochial vicar, we kind of know we'll go to a parish, and after maybe 2 or 3 years, they'll move us.
Okay.
So you love people. As a priest, you become part of people's life. Like people get sick, and you're there for them. And then let's say if their loved one die, you are there for them. And when you leave, you kind of become a part of their life, you know.
Yes.
For a parochial vicar, even though you're there for a short time, but you enter into people's life very quickly. So when I leave, in that sense, it was hard because you go and attach to it. Now, as a pastor, you stay in a place longer. And
yes,
like if I have to go now, I probably gonna die.
Oh,
you know, because you really become very much a part. You live with the people,
yes,
right?
They're your family.
You die and rise.
Yeah.
That's the one thing I don't like about diocesan priesthood is if after a while you have to move.
Yes.
Because one, it's both good for the community and for the priest. You know, let's say if people can't stand me, you know, so they finally have a new priest after a while. And also, if the priest has his grace or talent, he can share it at
somewhere else,
places. But also, if he has something that drives people nuts, people don't have to put up with him for too long. But your heart does break, especially, you know, I know, you know, because I'm building, so I get to be here for a while, but I dread the day when that happened. It'll be heartbreaking for me because you really become, one of the things I love about being a priest is you really become part of people's lives.
Yes.
when I celebrate Mass here on Sunday, I look out to the community. I know a lot of story. When people go up to receive communion, I set the body of Christ and I give to them. I look into their eyes. I know a lot of story that nobody else know about this soul and this person. So you're very attached to them, like this is my life, my people. So as a parochial vicar, you don't feel that so much now.
Because you're not there as long. Yes.
Pastor. So when I went to become vocational, it was hard to say goodbye to the parish in that sense because of those connections.
Yes.
Some of those connections I still keep to this day. And that's been years now. But being a disciple of Christ, and when you say yes, on the day of your ordination, you make the promise of obedience to the bishop and his successor. And you know that your life is a priest is no longer himself, but he lives for God and for his people.
Mm-hmm.
So he goes and he serves, and whenever God through his bishop call him, he's always in the spirit to go where he's called to go. Yeah.